Hey, welcome back to another episode of the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss podcast, where we are coming at you today, bringing just healing from stories and things that we want to share with one another to make sure that we are encouraging and empowering one another in this space. And today I am meeting with the most beautiful Yerinita Curtis-Fuller. Yerinita has an amazing story, and I just invited her to share. And so funny, right before we started, she pointed out the fact that we both had on yellow. Y'all, I promise we don't do this on purpose because I know with Chantel, we both had on green. And now with Anita, we both got on yellow. I just say, God does his thing and we just show up and to play our part, right? We just show up and play our part. So Anita is going to have a conversation with us today, just sharing her story on life after losing her spouse. Um, I know that she's helped others in this area. She's coached in this area. I think you even have a podcast based off of this. Yeah, you have a lot. So you're Anita, just kind of introduce yourself to us, who you are, a little bit about your journey, your children, where you live, what you do.
Oh gosh, oh my goodness. It's always so hard to talk about myself. I do talking for a living, and I still go, what can I say about myself? But again, I'm your Nita. Everybody call me Coach Nita. Lovingly call me Coach Nita because it's something that they gravitated to, and then I had to embrace it myself. I
Look,
am
normally
widowed.
I'd be like, Coach Nita.
So I love it. My mom was like, "Your name is not Nita. Your name is Uni." I was like, "Okay, we'll talk about that some other time." But widow, of course, for 6 years now. I'm a mother to seven amazing children, and now grandma to three. One was born before husband transitioned to be with the Lord. He was like a 1 month old, I believe. So after that, all these sons come forth. Um, I've always been active in the church, far as being like a go-to. I didn't know what all that was about. I just knew people felt safe to come to me for wisdom, for comfort, for grace. So for 15 to 20 years, I was doing that in the women's ministry at church. And so fast forward, um, when he passed, I knew that I could not return back to work right away, but I knew I needed to continue that financial stability. And so I just sat one day and I was like, what can I do without punching a clock? And so that's 2020. My husband passed in 2019. So 1 year later, here comes Purpose Pursues Life Coaching. And I actually was coaching from where I was, one on one, virtually, in person. And although I was still hurting a lot, helping others have always helped me to heal. So Purpose Pursuits came right in the grief journey and some other things that I started doing. Started doing the podcast in 2023. um, it's just so much to me, helping people write books. So it's kind of hard to kind of condense it all. But it's all been by God's grace and His mercy, because this type of loss is debilitating. And that's like, if I could find another word in the dictionary to replace that one that's a little bit more gruesome, I would choose that. But it's very, very debilitating. So that's just a little bit about me. I just recently getting ready to launch Grieve, Heal, Revive. That is a nonprofit that's going to help widows and their children, because I know that there's a cry that has gone up before the Lord on the behalf of the widows, and that cry came from me, and I couldn't get the resources that I needed to help me in that hard time. And so I say, hey, instead of constantly complaining about it, what this person didn't do, what the church didn't do, I said, I need to do it. Once I get to that place of healing and I can actually carry that mandate, I was going to do it. And so we just got everything finalized and we are a nonprofit. I'm just ready to launch. So that's a little bit about what I'm doing now.
That's amazing. Congratulations on the
Thank you.
nonprofit. Just knowing your heart, I think that that is going to be absolutely amazing for those ladies who need those resources and need that help. I can only imagine. I was watching Reels. She was scrolling because a lot of times she scrolls. But and I had saw a clip from an interview that Angela Yee was doing with someone, and she was saying that she didn't know that once your husband or once your spouse passes and you have to check the widowed box, like the state actually divorces you, like the state actually separates you. And the way that she was saying it, it was like painful because like she didn't choose to be separated. Her husband just was called home, and she kind of sounded like it seemed unfair that the state would automatically make you feel like you're like, bam, you're divorced. And I think so for me, I didn't know that because when I thought widowed, I thought, well, technically, I mean, technically you're not still married. Biblically, technically you're not still married, but I don't think I wouldn't imagine that a wife was ready to hear I'm not married anymore. Like, even though my husband passed away, like, you're still like in a married mindset. And now here it comes, the state is making you check the widowed box on whatever. Right. Tell me your first
Oh
experience with
my
that.
gosh, I'm telling you that, let me tell you, okay, the word widow, I completely despised. And if anybody would call me that, I would get upset. The other one that was worse was, you're single now. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you talking about? I'm single. My mindset is not even that far. So right now, I'm still a wife because that's where I was. You don't just accept those titles after you've been a wife for so long, right? And so it's even down to the paperwork at the school. It was like one hit after another. One, you know, trigger after another, especially when I went to the bank. I had took an Uber to the bank to get some things done because of his benefits I was going to get. They were telling me that I needed to do this, and that. So mind you, this is within 2 weeks. I'm dragging myself to the bank to make sure everything is situated so that I can get the benefits. And the guy noticed that me and Larry was always together. So he saw me by myself and he saw me like broken and he's like, "What's going on?" And I couldn't even tell him. I was like, and he was like, "Oh my God." He said, "What happened to Larry?" And I said, "He's gone." And he said, "Who sent you here?" I said, The people." And he was like, "You don't have to do this right now. You are not in a state to do this right now." He said, "Leave his name where it's supposed to be until you're ready. Don't worry. I'll give you this slip of paper. You submit it to them. You should still be able to get the benefits." So imagine walking in there and having to say, "Can you take his name off?" What? I'm not, I'm still in this fog. And you telling me within 2 weeks to do this, and that, and it was the wrong advice from the wrong representative, because you don't have to be in a hurry to do those things. So that and down to just anything that will ask you, just as she said, what your current title is. And I would just throw a tantrum. I would literally rip up stuff. I'm like, no, this is not fair. I'm married. And so it's not just the loss, it's living in it and having to submit to it without having to change, being able to change it. I had to keep submitting to checking these boxes, submitting to where it says on the paper, um, parents with an S. And I had to fill out my side now and leave his side empty. I'm telling you, at nighttime, I literally would say, "God, my heart is going to stop. My heart is literally going to stop. If you don't keep me breathing, I'm gone. I'm going to be gone," because it was just too much. And then the seven children, seven, their best friend, not a deadbeat dad, very, very close to his six girls and one son. I'm watching them get sick, throwing up. Some of my girls that were walking close with God, they let him go. Because why would you take our Father? And one of them said, "You have all these deadbeats in the world who don't care nothing about their kids. And he took our Father." Can you imagine? And I'm like, okay, I have to help them, but I don't know how to help my kids right now. So I said to them, nobody's going to be strong for each other. It was like one meltdown after another. When you need the comfort, this person to go to you, this person to go. When I need it, we'll all just embrace. because this was absolutely traumatizing for everybody. So it's not just the initial loss, it's living in the loss, having to submit to a loss you didn't even sign up for.
Oh my gosh, Nita, that is, I literally can't imagine. And so, for anybody who hasn't been through that or experienced that, like, there's absolutely no way to get the full feeling of how that feels like. You didn't expect this to happen. So not only are you grieving the loss of your husband, but like you said, you're having to walk in it, like having to adjust where you don't like it's almost like you didn't have time
Nope.
to even adjust or process what it was that I want to say the weights that the world was putting on you to get stuff done. And
Mhm.
oh God, your children, I can't even I can't even. I mean, you when did you get time to process yourself? Because you got to be a strong mom. You got to be there for your kids. And I mean, I didn't know you back then. I don't completely know everything about you now, but I know that you're not a person who hides your feelings. Like
No.
you're gonna say how you feel. You're gonna do, you're going to express
Mhm.
those feelings. And so trying to process the death of your husband by yourself. And kudos to the guy at the bank, whatever his name was. And he was like, go home.
He told me
You
to
are
go
not
home.
in a mindset to do this. And I love that God sends people to God kind of change our direction so that we're moving towards the better and not necessarily
Yeah.
something that can be even more hard for us. But man, just that story that you told us was so amazing. But how did you find the time to process on your own? Also, you said his name, Larry. I don't know if I didn't know it was his name. After you told
Yes.
us about your processing, I want you to tell us a little bit about Larry.
He still makes me smile. Did you see that?
I did see that.
I
And
kid
how
you.
amazing is that?
No,
And
I'm
also,
so serious. This is the
yeah,
love. This was 26 years of love. And when I talk about him, I still blush. Okay? I don't know if you can see the love of my life back here. He's my everything still. That's us. That's my favorite photo. And so
Yerinita, girl, that is beautiful.
thank
That is
you.
so beautiful.
So that's what I think the Bible says. True, I'll hang it back up in a moment. It says the Bible says true love never dies, and it's cute. I'm like, oh, that sounds wonderful, but I am literally living this. True love never ever dies. The fact that I can still feel the love that He gave us on a daily basis, and it cannot be taken away from me. It can't. So as I'm talking about him, I smile, I still blush because I have all these memories inside of me. And then sometimes I could barely even move on some days. And it's been 6 years. It's almost like it come and hit me all over again. And I have to do that. So to answer your question about how I got through it, there's no formula. Because I'm so transparent, I began to record my journey within 2 weeks on Facebook. I created a group, Grieve, Heal, Revive. Did not know that it was God's plan the whole time. I just wanted to let other widows see the rawness of this journey and so that they can know what was normal, what was not normal. I just recorded every sometimes I wouldn't even get to an episode without snot everywhere. Literally, it's raw. So I talked, I verbalized, I expressed emotion, I expressed the anger, I expressed it all. And I believe because I did that, it actually helped me to not lock away. I remember crossing the street and there was a semi truck coming. I'll never ever forget this. And I was standing, we call it jaywalking here. So you got no business standing in the middle of the street trying to cross, but that's what we do. We jaywalk. So there was a semi truck coming, and I heard the enemy very clearly tell me, you may as well end it all. You might as well end it all. Your life is over. And it seemed like that semi truck was coming at me slowly to give me enough time to know whether to jump in front of this thing or not. And all of a sudden, I just know that this was God's help. I said no, and I let it go by. And then I crossed over. That was not the first time the enemy tried to get me to take my own life in this process. So I grieved publicly. I grieved before my children. I grieved for people who had to call and talking about organ donor and all this. I grieved. I didn't hide nothing from nobody. And when I would told my friends this, I said, if I get quiet, y'all better call the paramedics because y'all know I'm a talker. If I stop reaching out for help, call the paramedics, send them straight to my address because that is a sign that I am not okay.
The enemy, baby, I can't stand him because why? Ugh, he comes for those purpose areas while we're still in the pain of processing and navigating those
Mhm.
areas and those areas
Mhm.
that God has a purpose for. Man, the enemy just comes so hard at it. And I'm so grateful that you had that relationship with God, that you did not fall for his devices, because unfortunately, there are many people who fall for those devices. Like, who
They
you didn't tell
do.
somebody to jump out in front of a semi? Like, go on about your life, because
Mhm. Bye.
why in the world would the enemy do that?
The
And I just,
weakest.
yeah.
It's like this is her weakest point. So let me see. Let me see. And so that's what he tried to do. Maybe not the first time he did it that way, but he tried to do it in other capacities, make me feel like I was losing my mind. I couldn't think straight and all these things. But I knew that I was upset with the Lord, but I knew how to cling onto him even in that, if that makes any sense. I will still like grab a scripture so that I can breathe because that was the only thing that helped me to breathe. And then when I thought about checking out of here, I looked at those 7 kids who were already sick to their stomach. And I said, so you're going to do it to them twice? Twice?
Oh, wow, you're needed.
So about Mr. Fuller.
Oh, girl, that is the process and the journey. Tell us about this Larry, though.
Mr. Fuller, we called each other Toots. I don't know why, but we called each other Toots all of our life. But he was my first love and forever will be. My first everything. And the the comedian, you see Bernie Mac, you see Steve Harvey and all of these comedians, that was my husband all in one. Literally, he made us laugh to stitches. It was hard to take
Wow.
him serious sometimes because he was always joking. Even in sickness, even in homelessness, we faced together. This man would crack jokes. We'll be driving and the song will come on, one of his songs, and we knew to brace ourselves because he's going to get out that car and he about to bust the move. What he call? And I would say, crawling, kids laughing in the back. I'm crawling under the seat because I said somebody's going to video you and you're going to go viral, bro. You're going to go viral. He's like, bring it on. So the comedian, the one who created his own dance, the one who was just bring smiles to so many seniors, just being silly. And he wasn't performing. This was really who he was. He was like this huge comedian, provider. Took the shirt off his back. Prior years, he had got sick, and he made such a strong comeback. All he could think about was taking care of us, and um, just the type of father that got on the floor with our youngest and would play tea party with her. And the dad who would take them to the doctor and say it's time for them to take their vaccinations, but I'll take them first. You know, he used to tell the doctor, stick me first. So that's the type of dad. He has so much to say about him. Oh, the chef. Oh gosh, the chef. I mean, can cook, okay? And very reassuring. In all those years, even after 7 kids, he just, you're so beautiful. I can't believe you're my wife. I'm like, you're not over it yet? No, no. He couldn't keep his hands off me, sis, which is why we have seven. The
No
love
comment.
was so strong. The love was so strong that we would go out and people would see it. It's like, what is about this couple? And we're going to all these together and all these restaurants. People would just want to talk to us. So um, when I was on my way to buy him a pair of shoes, January 26th, because he never did anything for himself. So January 26th, 2019, I told him to stay home after he had did his hours at work. I'm gonna go buy you a pair of boots. And he was like, I want to go with you. Jokester. I want to go. I said, no, you don't know how to rest. Please just go upstairs, take you a shower, turn on the game, and I'll be back. I'm gonna surprise you with something. So I was gonna go buy him a pair of nice boots that he loved. And just regular, I went in the bathroom, came back out, and I said, where's Toots? And the kids is laughing. We don't know. I said, I go downstairs to the car. He's in the passenger side. I said, Toots, please stop. You really gotta learn how to just rest. He says, but I want to go with you. Shoot, I just want to go with you. I said, I want you to rest, please. I want to surprise you. He said, okay, so he got out the car and he opened up the door to the building we were in. And he just walked upstairs and he turned around and looked at me. He said, can't do nothing around you. Shoot. Laughing till we could not laugh no more. So he went on up and me, my daughter, and her boyfriend at the time got in the car, started driving towards Walmart. And by the time we got to the parking lot, the worst day of my life started manifesting. And he had a stroke right in front of the children. And she was 18 at the time. She had to try to she didn't know what was wrong with him. And she just was screaming and saying, Mom, what do I do? How can I help? Um, and we were trying to drive as fast as we could. So I was trying to tell her, get the neighbors, get the ambulance, go get help because you can't possibly face this. Like, I don't know what's happening to him. And she said she had picked him up and sat him up on the toilet. And then he started to fall over again. She screamed this screeching scream. She said, Ma, he fell again. I said, oh God, please get us home fast. By the time I got there, they had already put him in the paramedics and he was awake, but he couldn't talk. And I looked at him and I said, you remember a couple of years ago you had the heart thing? And he shook his head yes at me. I said, you're gonna get through this too. Don't worry. He just shook his head. Got him to the hospital. They asked me a bunch of questions. They told me that he had a stroke and there was some bleeding on his brain that started the stroke. And everything just went from a lot of decision making to a surgery that he actually um, got through very well. He was recovering fast. So I thought I was going to experience another miracle. Um, and he made it to the rehab. So it was the second day of rehab that things went really, really bad. And that led to his passing. So from January 26th to February 8th, it was, he couldn't talk. This is what I want to share with those who are listening that's married. Larry couldn't speak after the stroke, but he knew who I was. The Lord didn't even allow him to lose his memory. And he had a severe bleeding and he had a severe surgery on his head. He still knew who I was. And without him speaking to me, I knew what he wanted. I was literally reading his eyes and knowing exactly what he wanted me to do and exactly what he wanted me to say to these doctors and these nurses. And the doctor and the nurses said, we have never seen anything like this. Most stroke patients lose their memory. The type of bleed he has, the fact that he knows who you are, your children. He said, this is amazing. He said, he is a great candidate for recovery. So he kept on persevering, get over to the rehab. We're celebrating on Facebook. He's at rehab. Yes, God has won again, and it went the other way. It went the other way, and it was nothing I could do about it. You haven't really experienced pain until it's the kind that you can't stop. You know, when you have a headache, you can go and take an Advil or something. But this is the type of pain you cannot stop. It's the type of decision God made that you cannot do nothing about it. So I gave God the silent treatment for a few weeks, one talking, and after his services, I was sitting in the bedroom by myself, and I said, "Why would you do this to me?" I said, "I've done everything you asked me to do. I've walked this walk, and you would do. Why would you do this to me? Why would you do this to us? Why would you see those kids? Those kids are sick." That's when I was talking to God. And that still small voice said to me, "I didn't do this to hurt you."
Mm.
Imagine that.
Mm.
It's hurting. And I know your kids are hurting, but I didn't do this to hurt you. So I'm thinking in my heart, okay, if you didn't do this to hurt us, then what is this all about? I never promised life here forever. I promised life in eternity forever. That was his
Wow.
answer.
Oh, that story. That's definitely healing. For somebody. And the reference that you gave, you never experience pain until it's something that you can't stop. Man, because that was me last year when my mama passed away. And I did the same thing. I stopped talking. Like I was like, God, I love you, but I can't right now. Like, because I don't understand
Mhm.
it. And so, because you said, like you said, your kids was like all these deadbeat dads out here, and you
Mhm.
took my dad, and I'm like, all of these like parents out here that are just like wicked, evil. And I even told my husband the other day we were talking about it because listen, my husband was my mama child too.
I'm
He felt
sure
that
he
way.
was.
She felt that way. Like he misses her so much. He said that she was always the one like calling and checking on him and making sure he was good and praying for him. And he
Sure.
felt her prayers and he knew, he knew her
Oh,
prayers. And so we were having that conversation the other day because I was just like, all of these people out here that are not doing the will of God or doing the work of God. And my mom was out here putting in the work and he took
woo.
her. And then that was what he said. And I said, you know what I had to come to the conclusion of is God got to give some of the people some more time to get their life together.
I'm telling you. Yes.
He got to give them people some more time. So we're upset because we feel like it's unfair. And we're upset because we feel like and I'm gonna tell you, there is an evangelist in our church, and my mom and dad evangelist are best friends. And so, when we were praying, the evangelist, she was there, and she said, she said you got to prepare your heart because sometimes you think you're praying for healing for your mom to come, for that person
Woo.
to come back, but you're actually praying for healing for their soul to transition. And I remember when she said, I still remember that she said that
Woo.
to me. And I think it helped me a lot because, sometimes I think when stuff like that happens, we want to kind of put the blame on ourselves a little bit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, what could I have done
Mm-hmm.
differently? What
Mm-hmm.
could I have prayed differently? What can I? And
Yes.
that was healing for me. But
Wow.
the pain of just knowing that it wasn't something that I could stop. I wanted to stop it, but it wasn't something that I can stop. I stopped like God, I can't right now. Like I'm sorry. I
My
love you.
gosh.
That's my prayer.
Yes.
That's my prayer to you right now. Like I love you. But that's all I got. Like I got nothing
Yeah.
else right
Yeah.
now. And I don't know if I told this on another episode, but I was saying that I was basically on my way into a pit. Like I was going into
Mm.
a pit of misery. I was going into a pit of anger and bitterness. And God was like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
no, no, come on.
No.
Come up out of there. Come up out of there.
Oh
And
gosh.
I was giving glory to God because I was like, God could have left me in that pit.
Oh.
He didn't have to take me out of that pit. He did not have to say, come up out of that pit. He could have let me go into that pit of
Yes.
anger. He could have let me go into that pit of resentment and bitterness, and he could have let me stay there. But he
Exactly.
didn't. And I think that that is the testimony is that God did not leave me in the pits after I've experienced the trauma that I've experienced. And for you, I think it's so beautiful to see you when you talk about Larry, you like you still light up. When you talk about him, like I can feel how much you love him and
Yeah.
how much you miss him, but you're still thriving, you're still blossoming because God did not allow you to stay in a pit of bitterness and misery.
Absolutely.
And because of that, you have such a beautiful testimony of your marriage and your
Yes.
experience together. And I'm sure that as much as y'all love each other, like y'all experience some hardships. But I was watching a
Woo!
I don't know if it was a post I don't know if it was a post that you put or something, but you were putting on that post how you and Larry were in the streets together, but then you were in the faith together. And she's
Woo!
like, yo. And I was like, to me, that is so beautiful. Because sometimes in a
Girl.
marriage, like people are in the streets when they get married, and then one person or the other person goes into the faith, and the other
Yes.
person is kind of lagging behind. And what we have is this unequally yoked situation, and it becomes like a really
Mm,
hard situation. Girl, I want you to share a little bit about the hardships, the trials, the things you had to
Chuck, the
experience.
girl, we weren't studying nothing about no God and no spirituality, no nothing. We was just together apart, together apart, together apart, and I would just keep getting pregnant, and that happened 4 times. Okay, um, but we did not have. We were in the dark. Period. He was in the dark for his childhood stuff. I was in the dark for my childhood stuff. One of those things was, you know, my mom was a supporter. She took care of, but she wasn't affectionate. And then my dad was murdered. So I was like, it's whatever. And we met just tormenting each other. Actually, every time we would break up, I would do something stupid to him. He'd do something stupid to me. I kid you not, this was our story. And people say, "Oh, it's just this fairy tale that how we met." And I go, "I don't have that. I don't have that. We were crazy, okay?" So, however, I remember how the Lord came to me and corrected me in a vision. That's when I knew I could actually see some things because I was like, that had to be a dream. But it really wasn't. It was God showing me the condition that I was in. And so he was already raised in church. He just didn't have a relationship. So he knew about the Lord. But when he saw me, like, going strong with it and being serious about it, it caused him to be more serious about his walk. And the hardships that we faced, oh my gosh, it was a financial. We faced homelessness together. We face family rejection on both sides together. We face seeing our children not make the best decisions, and it was very heartbreaking because we put a lot of time and effort into them being who God called them to be, and just learning how to forgive one another for everything. But these things happened as we both saw our need for healing. Like, it's one thing to say, "Oh, I need to be healed." Another thing to not deny that your past or your past relationship have traumatized you, and that the stuff that's coming out of you is a result of unresolved pain. So, as we both committed to the process, we got saved on the same day in the church. I
Nice.
was moving a little bit further. I was going faster. He was kind of trying to get a grip with it, but he caught up eventually. And I actually delivered the first half of the eulogy. That was not me. There's
How
no
in
way.
the world?
I I'm telling you the honest to God truth. That couldn't have been me. That couldn't have been me. The state that I was in couldn't have been me. But I remember saying in front of everybody, I walked up there and it was holding me up. And I was like, no one's going to get the final word about this one except for his wife. I said, God has his final word already, but I want to share something. And He's such a comedian, so I want you to brace yourself for what I said first, okay? I turned towards, I don't call it the C word, I call it resting bed, right? So I turned to the side. He's in this royal resting bed. And I turned towards and I said, you know, Larry, you've always been some type of jokester. I said, but if you did not want to pay for these kids' weddings, you did not have to go this far.
Girl, you are such a mess. I
And
bet it lightened the mood a little bit. It had to
the
have lightened
whole
the mood.
room, the whole room just broke out in laughter. And I was like, you see, this is what he did all his life. And then I'll start to share some of his little comical ways. And so I was sharing the story. And then my daughter, she was 6 years old at the time. And I see her raising her hand while I'm telling the story about how he broke a chair just to make his little scene a little bit more dramatic. And so I was telling them how he called us in the kitchen and he had bent back one of my chair legs just to make it look like he really fell. And when he yelled out, "Oh, I fell, I can't get up." So we go in the kitchen, he bent the chair. I'm like, "Larry, what are you doing?" She walked up to us, she said, "Mommy, mommy, mommy, this is in the funeral now. You forgot something." So what did I forget, Gigi? She said, he was eating grapes.
Oh, that's so beautiful though that she had that memory.
She walked up and said, "You forgot to tell him that he was eating grapes while he was on the floor." And everybody just broke
So
out
wait, eating
laughing
grapes
again.
while he was on the floor?
Yes.
Larry was a mess.
So everybody was laughing so hard. And then there was this hush over the room. And that's when I broke into pieces. And they were trying to put their hands on me, and I said, "Don't touch me." My brother in law was trying to touch me. I said, "Please don't touch me." He said, "Sister, no, I got you." I said, "Don't touch me." I said, "I owe God this. I owe God this worship." And everybody's just quiet. So the dancer came down. This was totally unscripted. The dancer came down on a song called "I Shall Wear a Crown." I didn't know nothing about it. The funeral service had gifted this portion of his services to me. She come down, she's worshiping with this crown, king's crown in her hand. "I shall wear a crown." I'm looking like, whoa, wait, this is not on the program. What's going on? And she walked over to me with the crown and she said, "Crown your king." What? So I didn't want them to open it back up. It was too much. So I just took it and set it right on top. This crown is fit for a king. You're my king forever, forever. So I couldn't even think about being with anybody ever. I said once I learned how to be a widow, I was going to be a widow. Um, it's one thing I could tell you, since I never ever was jealous of seeing people's love, even after that, because I recognize that it can be taken away in a moment. So I still celebrated people getting married and going on vacations. And I would weep and say, "Lord, keep them together." You know, some people go through that jealousy, like, "Oh my God, my husband's not here. And look at them." No, no. I was thinking, "Father, keep them together." Because in the twinkling of an eye like this, their lives can change. And so um, our story has actually saved some marriages.
I can
Because she
only
was
imagine.
She's like, "I've been so petty, and you telling me you went to the store to buy a pair of boots." It's something about the reality of it. I say everything is so big until you weigh it up against death.
Ooh, that's something you can't
Everything.
replace, something you can't reverse, something you
Mm-mm,
can't redo.
mm-mm, not at all. Not at all. So I was like, "Oh, you know what, God, this is my lot. I'm stay by myself. I don't care. I'm gonna raise these kids. I'm just gonna be single and go back to serving you, whatever I'm gonna do." And I remember my stylist, she did my hair. She said, "What did you just say?" I said, "I'm staying by myself." Boy, what? I mean, real bitter. She said, "So, all this that God put in you as a virtuous wife, and all that you poured into Larry all the years, you telling me that you would not want to share that with anybody else?" I said, "No, for what? So God can take them?" Bitter, bitter. Remember, Naomi said, who was it? Naomi, she said, "Call me Mara."
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was the spirit on me. Call me Mara. Don't call me that.
Oh,
Yeah. So I didn't care. I didn't know dating and all that craziness for like 5 years. And then,
oh, that's an end then.
and then
Oh,
something happened.
did I know about this end then?
Because I don't share it that much. But I can tell you that there was an end then. And it's organic. It's like, what just happened? I wasn't supposed to be able to do this again. Um, I think that woman said it best. Who is it?
Did you get
Deborah
here, girl? This is the
Cox.
song that just
Deborah
the
Cox.
song that just popped up in my head.
How did you get here?
Right.
Nobody supposed to be here.
Now you finna make me
So
break
I
out a
just
song and I ain't
started,
got a lick of voice.
yeah. So I think in the last year I've been embracing being in a relationship, like trying to fully embrace it and knowing some of the things that's going to come up. And I try to stay away from comparison. And he helps us to honor my husband. He's not even intimidated.
Beautiful.
I kid you not, he's a chef. He reminds me scarily 70% like my husband.
Well, baby,
I
what is it
kid you
with you
not.
and chefs?
Because the Lord know I like to eat. They have to know how to cook and they have to know how to dance. So I have it again, but afraid. Afraid. I think that's a part of the process though. To feel like at any moment, just like before, God can say, okay, now. So, but it's fun. I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying the interaction with the kids and just I can't complain, really. I really can't complain. So, and I know Mr. Fuller, he will be fine because he always wanted to know that if he left here, somebody would love us and accept us the way that we are. And to take, I said to him, "Do you know what you getting into?" Said, "Yeah." I said, "These children, their dad, me, that was my husband, like, do you really know what you're getting into?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Wow." He hasn't ran away. So on March 1st would have been Larry and I's wedding anniversary here on Earth, I should say. And I let him know beforehand. March 1st is not a really, February 8th, March 1st, not really good days for me, you know. And just the gentleness and the love and the support was just like, wow, wow. So 6 years in, what I thought I couldn't do, I'm actually doing. It's not practice, it's not planned, it's just happened. And we are hoping that God allows us to be in covenant by next year.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
I'm loving the and then story, Nita. I think that is beautiful. And man, the process of it. You said you were bitter.
Ooh. Call
And
me Mara.
well, first of all, because you said in the church that you had to let God have his worship. And immediately I felt beauty in that because a lot of funerals, when people go to funerals, they are just looking at the death and the loss of a loved one. But I think at my mom's funeral and obviously at your funeral, it was the worship of God. Thank you for letting me
Oh,
have this
yes.
time with this person. Thank you for
Yes.
allowing me to experience the beauty in this person.
Uh-huh.
And man, you said you was not looking for no love. You was like, I'm just gonna be by myself. Since I'm not doing it, I'm not going through this process again. I'm not starting from the beginning because first of all, it took us a long time to get to a place of peace where we wasn't bitter and angry. And obviously your faith led you through the process of healing, even up into the place where you thought you'll never be again. I'm gonna call him the and
Look,
then. That's
you
what I'm gonna
you
call
see what
him.
I said? And then,
What? And then
but the prophetic word about him came, and 2 years after. 2 years after my husband passed, the word came, and I was like, yeah, yeah, whatever.
I'm worried about you like in a
Being
relationship
married
again?
again. Being married again.
Oh,
2 years.
oh.
2 years later. And it was from a trusted source. And I kind of just was like, oh, okay. And then she came back maybe a few months later with a description. And I was like, yeah. When I say let me get a little closer to the screen so you can get what I'm saying. My husband was my first everything. So I didn't know nobody else.
Oh.
So the thought to be married again and have to submit disgusted me to the
Oh my
max.
goodness.
I was like, oh no, mm. Girl, I was clowning. Nobody's putting their hands. Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. I had nightmares about having to be a wife and be intimate with somebody again. It's like that's disgusting, and it felt like I was cheating, and it made me feel like I was, it was going to be unclean. Like I'm telling you, the widow's walk ain't no joke.
Brings me back around to the full circle of the state divorcing you upon divorce, but you still feel like you're married, even to the point where you don't want to date anybody else.
I was like,
It's
this is
like,
cheating. This is clearly cheating. Just a night, no, Nita, no. I was like, yeah, yes, it is. But there was a mindset back then. It was a way to reject the thought that I would actually have to love again. So, you deny, you say you don't want to have nothing to do with it. And of course, the Lord ain't going to force his will on you. He'll just say, this is what will be best for you. You can accept it or reject it for sure. But I just love the way that he's my friend and it was organic.
I
And
love that.
oh, but let me tell you this a little bit. I had this whole idea in my head, sis, that I said, if I ever marry again, I'm gonna date the guy for 1 year, and he's not gonna see my kids, and he don't know about them. But because I'm trying to protect their hearts, I don't want them to meet anybody that's not going to stay. You know what I mean? And so I was like, oh, I just had this whole thing down how it was gonna play out. I was gonna, stay to myself, let them know I'm seeing somebody, but they can't see him for a year until I know that it's a serious or whatever. You know what I mean? Girl, he met my kids first.
What happened to the plan, Yunita?
I'm laughing now because I had my whole
Isn't it funny how we plan
I,
stuff, but the Lord be
I
like, nah,
had
that's
my
not how it's gonna
whole
happen.
plan
Not the
and had to
planner.
go do. And so we were just literally just chilling out, laughing, joking, and talking. And the kids was like, "He's so cool," and all these things. I was like, mm. I think it's when he was saying he was going back to his homeland. I think it was about 6 months after we became really good friends. He's like, I'm gonna go back, and I was like, what? That's when I knew.
Oh,
I was like,
that
go
you
go
have
back where?
feelings.
Yeah. I was like, go back where? He's like, my home. I said, so that's what you do? That's what you do? You go around connecting yourself to people and then you just walk away? Girl, you about to crack up laughing. He said, what is this? I said, what is this I see? He said, you got feelings for me? No. He's like, well, that's not what I see. You want me to stay? I was like, I don't care where you stay or not. He's like, Nita.
Not that pride creeping up.
Nita, Nita. I was like, I don't need no man. I've been living without my husband for this long. I mean, if you want to go, you just go. And maybe that's what you do. You just attach yourself to people and you just leave them.
You went there.
Hmm. He said, so you're saying that you're surviving the loss of your husband, right? I said, yes, I am. And he said, and you're saying that you'll be okay without me too. I said, absolutely. It's like,
Well, at
okay.
what point did God say, "Woo"?
It's like, he says, in so many words, he said, you didn't mean that. Because I will feel like a fish out of water without you.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful. Look at and then.
And then,
And
and then,
then.
and then. So I had my plan. God has his. And it's beautiful. It's scary. It's unnerving because you don't know what's next. You could plan it out. It's like I planned to be with my husband, buy our first home together, and I end up not buying my first home. I got the home now. We moved in here almost a year ago without him. So I had this plan to travel with my husband and all these things and build business together after he healed, and that it didn't go that way. So he and I have all these beautiful plans, and he's very intentional about marriage and all these things. And I'm going, if God let it happen. That's all. That's where I am. If God let it happen. It's like, stay positive. I was like, yeah, whatever. This ain't about positivity or negativity. This is what life has given me. So he helped pick the home, though. It wasn't husband, but yeah, he helped us pick the house. Um,
Oh
he
my God.
supported me. He supported me the whole way. He actually helped me pay off the debts that I needed to get rid of. He got me a car to me. He's just made life easier for me.
Well, baby, look at and then.
And then, and then, and
Oh
then,
my gosh.
this is so real. So it's so real that it goes, I don't know, like what's getting ready to happen, you know. But
Unbelievable.
hopefully, yeah, but hopefully it has a beautiful ending called marriage covenant, and pray that we both live a long life because that's all we have is hope.
I don't know if I like that hopefully part. According to the will of God.
That's what I mean.
Yep.
And the
Okay.
reason why I'm
According.
saying, and I have to put it that way because if I say it any other way, I'm not being real. Um, it was God's will to take Larry.
Yes.
So we're planning and talking about marriage and all these beautiful things. But then in the back of my mind, I'm saying, if it's not God's will, it is not going to happen. It's
Amen.
not going to happen. Or it can happen. We get in marriage and he decides that one of us have to go. That's just how, that's the lasting thing that grief leaves with you. To to live holding on to nothing. Absolutely nothing. You can't have a firm grip on nothing. You have to enjoy what you have right now. And that's all.
I think it was Chantel who talked about having an open palm. God, if you want to take it, take it. If you want to give it, give it. And
It's
that
the
is
truth.
definitely something you have to learn through trauma or through um, unwanted experiences, I guess I would say. But Nita, your story is absolutely beautiful, and I pray that it helps another Kingdom Wife Mom Boss heal. I'm still stuck on the and then situation, but I'm gonna move past it. And I'm gonna say congratulations to that
Thank
and
you.
everything that that brings. Also, congratulations to your healing process. A lot of people don't heal well. A lot of people are still holding on to situations where God is trying to get them to move on to what's next. So congratulations to all of that. I think you are a shiny example of a Kingdom Wife Mom Boss who has overcome, and is now teaching others to overcome.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
absolutely love that. That is what this platform is about, just sharing your story to help others. And so now I want you to tell us, you told us a little bit in the beginning, but how can people get in touch with you? What are you offering as far as your services to
Um,
the people that God has assigned for you? And what would you, any final remarks that you would like to leave for the Kingdom Work?
Um, I am right now in Purpose Pursuits. I'm focusing on forgiveness coaching. So that's the one that I've been really giving my time and attention to. So anybody in need of forgiveness coaching, I'll give you the number. The site is down because I'm revamping it. But there's other ways to contact me through social media using my name or Purpose Pursuits Life Coaching on Instagram, TikTok. So you can find me on all those platforms. Also, I'm actually coaching women to give birth to their books. That's something I added on in the past few months because I'm skilled in it. I felt like this is something that I would love to do. So if women are looking to write their books, you can partner with me to have a 12-week journey to writing your book. Podcast was on hold, but the episodes are still there. I had to pause for a moment. It was just a lot going on, and now that I'm home, I feel like I can get back out there. But besides that, that's pretty much how they can reach me through Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and the phone number that I'll provide for you. And until that site is back up, I can give you an email if anybody's interested in reaching out, especially if you feel led to support Grieve, Heal, Revive. Let me say something about that. Grieve, Heal, Revive. This is how the vision came to me really fast. The warranty company that I have says if you pay me $63 a month, we will come out and take care of anything that goes wrong in your house, including the sewer and all this stuff, appliances, you don't have to worry about. And so I sat there and I drew out the vision of Grieve, Heal, Revive. And I said, if a warranty company can do it, so can I. And so I started putting up words like transportation, food pantry, grief coaching. And so I put it around in a circle around the word. And I said, these are the services that Grieve, Heal, Revive is going to be able to offer to the widow and her children in her hour of need. So that's the biggest thing that's on my heart right now is to begin to get support for Grieve, Heal, Revive so that we can start helping the widowed wives because that's how we see ourselves. We're still wives.
I think that is a very, very beautiful and worthy cause. Definitely get that on our social media so that be something that we can share. Thank you. So, when is the book coming out on Larry?
Here we go again, Lord. Are you serious right now?
I wanted to ask you this a while ago, but I was like, wait. And I just remember, when
And
is the
I
book
know
coming out?
that's the Father. I know that's the Father because it's called After All Is Said and Done. That's the song we got married off of. So that's the name of the
Okay.
book, After All Is Said and Done. I'm going to share the last 12 days of his life and how it was just a display of the love that was created in us for each other, how we were able to communicate without even speaking.
Oh. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm excited about that book, girl. All right,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was like, wait, I can't end the podcast without asking when the book coming out. But anyways, thank you so much for joining us and for sharing your story. Again, such a beautiful story, and I know it's going to be
Thank you.
powerful and healing for someone. You guys make sure that you reach out to Coach Nita to see how you can support her cause, which is such a worthy cause. Just reach out to her if you are needing the counseling, if you're needing the coaching, or if you're needing
Absolutely.
the support to process the death of a loved one for yourself, or if you know someone else that is going through the thing. Okay. I pray that this has been uplifting for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us, and we're going to catch you on the next episode of the Kingdom Wife Mom Boss podcast. Bye. Hey, Kingdom Wife Mom Boss. I hope you enjoyed that episode with Coach Nita. That story was amazing, and I know it's going to be very healing and impactful for someone. Make sure that you continue to follow the website. Make sure that you continue to follow the blog so that you can hear all the empowering stories. And make sure that you share with other Kingdom Wife Mom bosses that you know need to listen in on these stories to get what they need so that they can move to their next level and thrive in what it is that they've been assigned to do in this season. We'll catch you guys later. Bye.